umutekano w'imibereho, iterambere ry'umuturage. Radio Imanzi 105.1 FM. Twese hamwe birashoboka.
We got you updated. This is Radio Imanzi News in English.
This is Radio Imanzi broadcasting from Kigali. Here is the news in English, brought to you by Fiona Omoganwa. The headlines. This morning, President of Zambia, Hakainde Hichilema, hosted President Paul Kagame to a tour of Zambia's finest tourist attractions. Experts have noted that it is far more efficient for developing countries to learn from each other instead of always looking for lessons from the developed ones. Rehabilitation works on Kigali-Huye Road have kicked off after a days-long standstill that was caused by last week's flooding. Members of parliament from 10 countries in the Great Lakes region of Africa are in Nairobi for a conference to discuss parliament's role in conflict resolution. Now the news in detail. This morning in Livingstone, President of Zambia Hakainde Hichilema and First Lady Mrs. Hichilema hosted President Paul Kagame to a tour of Zambia's finest tourist attractions, including Musi Otunya Smoke That Thunders at Victoria Falls and Mukuni Big Five Safaris. They later planted trees at the Kazungula one-stop border post and toured the Kazungula Bridge, which supports trade and transport linking Zambia and Botswana over the Zambezi River. The World Bank Group has approved $32 million additional financing to support Rwanda's response to COVID-19 under the country's COVID-19 emergency response project. This is the third additional financing and brings to $92 million the total support Rwanda has received. Rwanda COVID-19 Emergency Response Project is designed to help the government prevent, detect and strengthen national systems for public health preparedness. Funds will also go into scaling up various activities, including the purchase and deployment of vaccines, including those with authorization for use among children. The Rwanda COVID-19 Emergency Project is part of the World Bank Group's $14 billion fast-track package to strengthen the COVID-19 response in developing countries and shorten the time to recovery. Experts have noted that it is far more efficient for developing countries to learn from each other instead of always looking for lessons from the developed ones. The observation was made as part of the South-to-South and Triangular Cooperation Framework that brings together developing nations in the Southern Hemisphere. Professor Chuti Manase, the Minister of State in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, noted that even though developing nations stand to benefit greatly from learning from each other, they should not ignore developed ones.
In the development world, we have so much to learn from each other. There is South-to-South, South learning from South, but also there is North and South, or what we call triangulation, whereby South and North learn from each other, work together for development of our people. And so this meeting was to bring all the stakeholders to see how can we get coordinated to benefit from each other and work for the people that we serve, or our citizens. And apparently it was well attended, which is good, but we have to keep on engaging each other to make sure that whatever we do benefits the citizenry, people.
Representatives of developed nations who attended the discussions expressed their willingness to help developing ones to continue making progress. Dr. Thomas Kars, the German ambassador to Rwanda, noted that the German Development Institute delegation attended the discussions and has been in Rwanda for a couple weeks to identify areas of cooperation.
The German Development Institute was part of this discussion, and they are a close cooperator of Rwanda cooperation. They've been here, a delegation has spent a couple of weeks here, and now they continue this cooperation with India, so this will be a triangle cooperation to identify areas of cooperation of further development. So I think this is something where we're already here. And we may take our implementation agencies, as GI said, to further come into this, into the South cooperation as Rwanda is practicing it. We have been doing that already to quite a considerable extent in Latin America, but I expect them to bring this here.
Rwanda is a country that has time and again proved it is willing to learn from anyone, providing beneficial information and lessons. Ambassador Christine Huditiyinka, Rwanda Cooperation Initiative CEO, says we have to change our mindset in pursuit of solutions.
We need to assess where, and we definitely do, not only in Rwanda but also in other countries, what we have as strength, what we can share as good practices with other countries, and be ready to share and to learn from each other. I think it's also important to learn from each other, but also very important to change our mindset that all good solutions, or I would say the mindset we had that we have to look for all solutions in the global north, but we also have solutions and good practices we can learn from each other in the south.
In 2018, developing nations accounted for a quarter of global trade and a third of all investment, with immigrants in developing nations sending as much as $466 billion back home to developing ones. Rehabilitation works on Kigali-Huye Road have kicked off after a days-long standstill that was caused by last week's flooding. Movement, especially around the road section between Ruyenzi Center and Bishenyi Market in Kamonyi district, have been paralyzed by waters that surpassed conveyance capacity of the drainage channel under the road, which led to its destruction. Currently, people moving from Kigali to Huye are advised to use Kigali-Ruyenzi-Nkoto Road, while those from Huye can use Nkoto-Gihara-Ruyenzi Road. The alternative roads, which are not paved, have been delaying the transportation of goods and people, especially during heavy rains, as vehicles get stranded, according to witnesses. Sylvain Nahayo, the mayor of Kamonyi district, said rehabilitation works have kicked off and should be complete in less than a month. Emile Patrick Baganizi, Deputy Director General of Rwanda Transport Development Agency, told the media that there is a plan to rehabilitate old and damaged roads, as well as pave the new ones so as to ensure alternative roads in case of disasters and inconveniences. We shall continue with some items of international news after the advertisement.
Are you looking for the best language interpreting services for your next meeting, training workshop, or forum, in person or remotely? Look no further. Gemini Multimedia Limited offers high quality and professional interpreting and document translation services in various fields of expertise. Based on the International Association of Conference Interpreters, AIC, and with a team of professionals with more than 10 years of experience in the field, you can rely on us for a smooth running of your next event. Locate Gemini Multimedia Limited on KG14 Avenue 258 between Kagugu Health Center and Fawe Girls School. You can also call us on 0790-719-909 or visit www.geminimultimedia.org. Gemini Multimedia Limited. Speak clearly. Listen reliably.
Some items of international news on Radio Imanzi.
Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu Hassan will on May 3rd open the 2022 World Press Freedom Day Conference in Arusha, convened by the Eastern Africa Editors Society. The World Press Freedom Day is marked annually worldwide. This year's theme is Journalism Under Digital Siege. At the conference in Arusha, discussions will focus on media freedoms in the region, safety issues concerning journalists, and the advancement of big data and artificial intelligence as part of an African media evolution. Kenya will fine fuel marketers accused of hoarding petrol and diesel as it released $71 million subsidy arrears to petrol retailers to ease nationwide fuel shortage and forestall a crisis. Petroleum Principal Secretary Andrew Kamau said investigations into the shortage were being finalized, setting the stage for financial penalties and license withdrawals. He added that the supply hitches that caused the nationwide fuel shortage are expected to ease from Thursday after all marketers tipped supplies to stations from depots. The Intergovernmental Authority on Development has welcomed the recent agreement signed by South Sudan's main peace parties on the unification of command forces in a move to form one professional army. The Executive Secretary of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, Wakni Gebeyehu, applauded the step taken by peace parties towards the full implementation of transitional security arrangements. Members of Parliament from 10 countries in the Great Lakes region of Africa are in Nairobi for a conference to discuss Parliament's role in conflict resolution as they seek to improve peace and prosperity in the region. Professor Yasin Olum, a lecturer in politics at Makerere University, did the research on the causes of the conflict in the region and the possible interventions that parliaments can make. The scholar gave recommendations on what should be done to end the protracted conflicts in the region.
Mediation and arbitration. The other is diplomacy. And the final one is creative peace building.
The Confederation of African Football President Patrice Motsepe said he was reassured by the progress made by the Ivory Coast on a visit to the next Africa Cup of Nations hosts. The Ivory Coast is due to host the Cup of Nations in June and July of 2023, just 18 months on from the last AFCON in Cameroon at the beginning of this year. Allah Abdel Fattah, a central figure of the 2011 revolution and Egypt's most famous political prisoner, has been on hunger strike since Saturday to protest his detention. A central figure in the popular uprising that ousted President Hosni Mubarak during the Arab Spring, Mr. Abdel Fattah holds a sad record. He has been imprisoned under every president of the most populous Arab country for over a decade. The second phase of ticket sales ahead of the Qatar World Cup began Tuesday. It will close on April 28th at 9 a.m. Successful ticket applicants will be informed of the outcome of their application by email no earlier than May 31st, FIFA said in a statement. Sri Lanka's president lost his parliamentary majority on Tuesday as his former allies called for his resignation following several days of street protest over the country's devastating economic crisis. Severe shortages of food, fuel and other essentials, as well as record inflation and crippling power cuts, have inflicted widespread misery on the country. Public anger is at its peak. Since the weekend, mobs have tried to storm the homes of several government figures, and large demonstrations have taken place elsewhere in the country.
Economic news is a regular feature on Radio Imanzi.
The Rwanda Stock Exchange Market Report. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 35,145,000 Rwandan francs worth of bonds traded in 2 deals on the fixed income market, and 2,905,500 Rwandan francs from 14,700 shares traded in 3 deals on the equities market. MTN Rwanda closed the counter at 180 Rwandan francs. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 1,872,000 Rwandan francs from 10,400 shares traded in 1 deal. Bank of Kigali closed the counter at 249 Rwandan francs. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 996,000 Rwandan francs from 4,000 shares traded in 1 deal. Breadgra closed the counter at 125 Rwandan francs. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 37,500 Rwandan francs from 300 shares traded in 1 deal. I&M Bank counter closed at 45 Rwandan francs, Simedgwa at 180 Rwandan francs, Equity Bank at 440 Rwandan francs, Kenya Commercial Bank at 370 Rwandan francs, National Media Group at 1,200 Rwandan francs, Uchuri Supermarket at 104 Rwandan francs, and RH Buffalo closed the counter at 526 Rwandan francs. The currency market review of today. The Kenyan shilling buying price was 8.7 Rwandan francs and the selling price was 8.9. Tanzanian shilling buying price was 0.43 Rwandan francs and the selling price was 0.44 Rwandan francs. Ugandan shilling buying price was 0.283 and the selling price was 0.289. Burundian franc buying price was 0.49 and the selling price was 0.5. The US dollar buying price was 1,008 and the selling price was 1,028. The British pound buying price was 1,323 and the selling price was 1,350. The euro buying price was 1,106 and the selling price was 1,128 Rwandan francs. Today's weather forecast from the Rwanda Meteorology Department. From 6 in the evening to midnight, rain is expected in Northern Province, Southern Province, Western Province, Kigali City and Bugesera District, while the rest of the country is expected to be partially cloudy. The average wind speed expected is of between 3 meters per second and 4 meters per second. From midnight to 6 in the morning, it is expected to be partially cloudy in all parts of the country. The average wind speed expected is of between 3 meters per second. The minimum temperature is to be 11 degrees Celsius tomorrow morning in Nyabihu district. With that, we come to the end of tonight's edition.